All right, so my name is Glory Turnbull, and I'm here interviewing Rickey of CoBALT Archaeology as part of an oral history interview project. The date is June 10th, 2021. So what is your full name, Rickey?
Rickey Allen Ramseur, Rickeyallen Ramseur.
All right, and when were you born, Rickey?
When?
When?
I was born April the 11th, 1945, San Marcos, Texas.
And did you grow up in San Marcos?
No. My father was a football coach, and my mother was a teacher, and being a football coach, you travel a lot. So went from San Marcos to Rockport, then up to East Texas to a little place called Overton. Then 3 miles away to a little town called Leverett's Chapel. And then over to the famous New London High School that blew up in 1939.
Wow, so when did you come to live in Victoria?
We moved to Victoria in 1958. My father was going to be assistant head coach here. And at coaching school, he developed an aneurysm and passed away on the football field. And we've been here ever since.
Right.
Graduated from this school, Victoria High School, 1964.
And what did you do after you graduated?
Worked on my uncle's farm. And he also had a location on his farm that produced arrowheads. And it was a location right above a creek, a continuous running artesian creek. So we knew that the Native Americans lived there because of that. And it's a natural deer run through his property. And after that, joined the military. Spent time in Vietnam, Germany. Got back here. Went to Angelo State. Got my degree in education. Taught for 33 years at Victoria High School, business and marketing.
So you got your degree in business and marketing?
Yeah.
All right. And how did you become interested in archaeology?
One of the members, Judd Austin, we attend the same church, and he said, "You need something to do. Come to the museum and check us out." So I did, and gosh, I guess that's been 5 years ago. Still here. It may be longer. I don't remember. One thing about retirement, you lose all track of time. You ask people, what is today?
And what's your favorite part of archaeology?
Well, let me back up a little bit.
Okay.
Archaeology, being a teacher, you develop a sense of not having patience with people. You give an assignment, it's supposed to be turned in the next day, and you lose your patience. Now in archaeology, you must be very patient. Stuff is not going to come to you immediately. And out at the dig site, my first introduction was screening. And it was in an area called the sand pit. And we screened, gosh, several truckloads of sand. And we would find some articles, some uniques. And you just learn to be patient about everything. It doesn't come to you immediately.
Right. So why did you become a teacher?
I started out in business education, and I'd already worked in business prior to that. And I was talking with my apartment neighbor upstairs, and I said, I really can't see myself behind a desk for the next 30 years. And he told me about marketing education. And so I got into it and fell in love with it and stayed with it for 33 years.
And to backtrack, you said you were part of the military. What did you do in the military?
I was a combat engineer.
Okay.
I was an explosive specialist. That's why I can't hear.
So between being a combat engineer and being a teacher, would you say that you learned skills in those jobs that you use while you do archaeology?
Yeah, paperwork, logistics. In engineers, you learn to lay out areas, property or sites. And you do the same thing in archaeology, except you do it in smaller segments, 1 meter square at a time.
Right. And so you mentioned that you used to screen, but I understand that now you work in the lab primarily, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The reason for that is one day my back was hurting and I just thought I'd pull a muscle or something. And it got worse, got to the point to where I couldn't move and went to the hospital and they diagnosed me with multiple myeloma, which is a form of leukemia, number 1 stage, which means it's on top of the bone and not in the bone. And I haven't been able to go out to the dig site since because the doctor says, no, don't want you to fall down. I said, I don't either. And right now I'm kind of like in remission. It's just everything's level with my my diagnosis. And so I work in the lab mainly.
And what do you do in the lab?
Well, whoever's watching this needs to learn that if you're a member of a group and you don't make a meeting with that group, you're probably going to be voted into something that you don't want to do. So make sure that whenever there's a meeting, you're there. Now, I was asked to be the lab chairman or lab director. And what I do is kind of maintain some type of order. Just don't take this camera down and show them the lab right now. And I also do paperwork. I prepare the artifacts for photographing on the computer and put them back into their mother bags, prepare that for storage in the vault. And that, depending on how many we have that day, measuring and weighing and making sure that they're clean or inspecting them if they have an unusual look to them. We have found some debitage that looks kind of suspicious, and we'll pull it out, give it a little extra cleaning and look at it. Sure enough, it's part of a artifact. It's a tip that we found. I've actually found the tip to a golden grena, and it fit, which was a miracle.
Wow, so they had found what the,
They found the golden grena, the tip was broken off,
uh-huh,
and I was working the sorting tray and I actually found the tip to that
Wow.
golden grena. And that's happened more than once. Not by me, but, you know, some others.
Awesome. So what's it like in the lab whenever you discover like part of an artifact or something sorting?
Oh, it's exciting. It's exciting. It's like finding, you know, a brand new cookie jar.
Right. So is that what you enjoy most about working in the lab, or what is it?
Yeah, looking through the stuff and actually, like the article that we were looking at before we came in here, trying to figure out what it possibly could have been used for, or why it was broken, or why this unfinished, beautiful specimen hadn't been used. And the workmanship, the paleo workmanship on some of these points, our dark points, are so fine that you could not invent a machine to make these same indentions or tips. And it's another thing that was really has boggled my mind is how sharp these artifacts, after 6,000 to 10,000 years in the ground, are still razor sharp. I mean, you can actually shave with some of them.
So why do you enjoy archaeology? What piques your interest about it?
Right now, a long time ago, if I saw an article online or in a paper or whatever about, a great dinosaur bone had been found, big deal. But today, it was online that a giant bone had been found in Australia, and this humongous bone fit this unbelievable dinosaur. So things are starting to show up, and people are starting to get interested in them again. Finding out how old people, you know, how old some of this stuff is. I'm sure that if we found if a burial site was found in our area and it was dated through either DNA or through carbon dating, that we might find that our estimates that we are working with now may be off several thousand years. Because they are finding up in Alaska where some of the articles are being tested, not at 10 and 12,000, but 14 and 16 and 18 and even 20,000 years old, which could change the dating on all of our stuff down here. It's more paperwork.
Right. So I know you've only been doing archaeology for about 5 years, correct? But would you say that there have been changes in archaeology since you've started?
I really don't. Well, the changes that I've seen that I can, relate to is rules and laws that have been enacted to preserve some of these sites. And here in Texas, especially along this area where we're in, the Guadalupe River Valley basin, not just in Victoria, it runs all the way up to Kerrville and Hunt. And it has been continuously used by Native Americans from year one, you know, the time that they were here, because it was full of, you had fish, you had shells, oysters, you know, clams, you had animals. We have found deer bone, bison, beaver teeth. Those are big and orange, and they're still orange. I don't know when the last time a beaver was down here in this area, but we dug one up. It was a big old orange looking thing, but good gosh. With turtle, alligator, you know, some of these alligators nowadays, 12, 15 feet, those are junior size. Back then, we're talking 20 to 30 foot long guys. And their family units had to have at least, oh gosh, 15 or more, because you did not dare go hunting with a dart by yourself. You had at least 5 or more people with you to take down a huge bison or a mastodon. We've had mastodon teeth show up, not in our particular dig site, but in some other sites along the river. And they're big.
Yeah. So why would you say documentation is important? Or is it important?
Our documentation, we're trying right now to get it to where it can be accessed online. And that saves a lot of people time, energy, money. Instead of coming down here and going through our archaeological items, they can actually see them online, and they can visit them 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And we're trying to get that situated where it's accessible all the time. And that would increase the number of people who actually see what this active area is. And this is one of the most active areas right now in the state of Texas. Not just Victoria, but all of down the Guadalupe Basin.
So why is the Mcneil site significant?
It's really unusual. It was actually a dirt site that was selling dirt, topsoil for yards. People wanted to increase their yards, so they would order, you know, a truckload or dump a truckload of topsoil. And they kept getting bones, arrowheads, dart points, and they complained about it. And the owner knows Bill Birmingham, and he asked Bill to come out to the site and look at it, see what he got. And Bill did, and there was lots of stuff exposed in our site area. And so he quit selling dirt and gave us permission to go out and dig that site. That site has been active for 17 years. And he set aside 16 acres for us to use. And it has been very, very active, very, very productive. And from what I understand from some of the experts, it's one of the most productive areas in the state of Texas.
right. So what do you think the future of archaeology looks like?
Oh, as soon as the government tells us that little space aliens actually exist, we'll probably find out that they're the ones who've been doing all this archaeological item, leaving all these items behind. I'm not sure. Now, archaeology is very important. If you don't know your history of any kind, and you're bound to repeat all the failures, all the bad stuff. And knowing how these people lived and cooperated together, one of the things that we found out, our archaeologists have found out over the years, is that native tribes have actually cooperated to the point to where they had band together and made a congressional district or state, the 7 tribes in the Northeast, the Iroquois, the Mohawk, and those tribes, they're the ones that we trace back to we copied their government, line of government for our government, House of Representatives, the Senate, chairman, and except we got to the point to where now we settle differences with wars. They settle differences playing highlight. And just beat each other real good with sticks. playing highlight. Yeah.
All right.
But archaeology is you've got to know there are other things under the ground where you're living, and not just you on top. There are things that are underground, and it got there underground through erosion, through rain, through floods, all kinds of things. The big rains that we've been having here lately and the flooding that we've had here lately, it's going to expose a lot of stuff along the Guadalupe Basin. And people will take them and they'll use them as souvenirs or something like that. They really and truly need to let a archaeological group look at it, photograph it, document where it was found. That way it can be preserved physically, not physically, but preserved on paper and on photos.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think the future of CoBALT looks like?
Well, we're getting some new people in, and the more new people we have, the more little units we can dig and more stuff that we can find, and more work for you before you leave.
So you think it'll be, more progress, faster, I guess, digging and that sort of thing in the future?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I think that's all the questions that I've got for you today.
But there's one thing I would like to point out.
Sure.
I'm wearing a point that was found out at Mcneil, and it had no name. And it was checked around the country to see if anybody had a name that they called it. Since it had no name, they decided to name it. And I can't think of the name now.
An aqua?
Yeah, it's called an aqua. It was found under aqua trees, and the natives used them for shade And it's very cool under a grove of aqua trees. Not much can grow out of there because it doesn't let the sun come through. And it works a lot like an umbrella also. So it was found on the Mcneil Ranch and named the CoBALT people. So I wear it. We do make copies of things that are nice, real nice. We have a St. Mary's Hall that we have silver St. Mary's Hall. We have also golden grena. That are the two big ones that we have right now.
Awesome.
It is awesome, yeah. Because that's a conversation piece. People say, what is that? What's that arrowhead? Oh, it's not an arrowhead, it's a dart point. And we don't find arrowheads, we find dart points. And the dart point was used, oh gosh, up until about maybe 500 years ago, when they started doing agrarian practices, cutting away the shrubbery and bushes and exposing the land and farming it. Then they didn't have anything to hide behind to hunt the animals. They had open spaces, so they had to find something. Somebody came up with a bow and arrow. And from then on, you found arrowheads. That's arrowhead, not arrowhead.